Bob Safian from Fast Company is on the show. Hey everybody, this is Gary Vaynerchuk, and this is episode 268 of the Ask Gary V show. Bob Safian from Fast Company is here.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm really well.
You're really well? I hear you're redoing the whole wall here.
You heard about this?
I heard this wall is coming down. Why?
Just mixing it up. You know, it's crazy. I built it for myself, and then as a lot of people came in here and started taking selfies.
I brought you Pringles.
You did?
Yeah, you gotta have some, I tried to figure what would Gary never have enough of, and I figured Pringles were it. They're not a sponsor, though.
Bob, tell the Vayner Nation
Yes.
about yourself.
Myself?
Yeah, the position you hold, and a little bit about Fast Company.
Sure. So I am the editor of Fast Company, which is a business media brand. We like to say magazine, website, events, social, custom, whatever, wherever people are. And we're dedicated to the idea that business can be a vehicle for progress.
Yep.
And that the business world is not covered in a way that captures the excitement of what we do every day.
Yep.
And we have a lot of fun doing it. The world's changing fast, and we think a lot of folks need to get with that program and think about the way they approach their life and their work in a different kinds of way.
And what's the origin story of the brand?
Fast Company was launched in the late 90s by two Harvard Business Review editors. They were sort of trying to create Harvard Business Review meets Rolling Stone. That was their idea at the time.
I think they've captured that. Like when you just said that, I'm like,
That feels okay to you?
I mean, look,
Yeah.
for a lot of youngsters watching Rolling Stones, especially it's actually for sale now, right?
Yeah.
May not resonate as much, but for all the 35 and above who's watching right now, especially in its prime, Rolling Stones was such a cultural beacon.
Yeah.
As a publication, and so that makes sense to me.
Yeah, and we were part of this sort of whole raft of media that rose up at the time of, where people talked about the new economy,
Yes,
right?
Business 2.0
right,
launched
the
during
rise
that time.
of the dot-com era. And when
Yes.
the bus came, basically everybody went out of business.
Yes.
And we managed to make our way through that.
Why?
Some of it was we had the right owner, who saw the vision for it and was able to sort of fund us through more difficult times. And I think some of it was we were not as connected only with technology, but with the idea that business of all kinds were changing.
That's right.
And I think and I think we focused as much on people as we did on ideas, and kind of tried to use the humanity of the right kinds of people to tell different stories.
Facebook, please put in your phone number in the comments. We're going to take some calls here, talk a little business from Bob and I. So what about your origin story? Where were you born?
I was born here in New York. I'm a New York City boy. Never left my hometown. Very parochial.
Where were you born?
My parents got divorced when I was young,
Yes.
and my mom lived on the Upper West Side.
Yep.
My dad lived on the Upper East Side. Some of this, for anyone who's been in New York, may not realize this, but back in the days that I was a kid, I had friends whose parents wouldn't let them come to my house because it was on the West Side. It was a different kind of place. New York in the 70s was a much grittier place than it is now.
And walking Central Park in between was definitely an
I had
adventure.
some difficult. There was a point where I was out biking in Central Park and I got knocked off my bike by a gang of kids with baseball bats, and they took the bike, and it was a downer. It was not a good day.
Seth, have you ever been knocked off a bike with baseball bats?
Not with baseball.
Do you ever see the movie there's a kind of cult movie, The Warriors?
Of course, Warriors.
That was it.
I
Except
get it.
I don't think I was in any of those gangs.
I pushed Oded Weinstock off his bike in second grade because I didn't like his attitude. Oded, if you're watching, I apologize. But I don't actually, because your attitude was unacceptable. Anyway, nonetheless.
Yes, but we make it through these things, whether you're pushing off the bike or not.
Who are you going to be at 14, 15, 16?
Oh, I think I was just trying to get through the day. I don't think
But
I really thought about it.
You thought about what I'm going to do for a living.
No, never really did.
Never.
Nope, never really did. And I went into journalism mostly because I got out of school and I didn't know what the hell else to do.
Respect.
And it seemed like the thing that was closest to, what I did at school, different stories, writing things was sort of a continuation of a lot of the same things.
Were you good at writing?
I thought I was. I wasn't really that good at writing, but I thought I was at the time.
Yes.
It's only when I started getting paid for it, and you know,
got exposed.
that I realized, like, oh, you know, listen, you go to school, right, and you get B's and B pluses, like that's fine, that's cool,
Yeah.
right? You get out into the real world, like you don't get A's, you get fired.
Yes,
Right?
of course.
Like you have to be at the top of your game all the time.
Yes.
And you know, I think that's an education that everybody
And
goes
so how did
through,
your
right?
career start? By the way, I got D's and F's.
Yeah.
B's would have been unbelievable. It was that in life I understood how to get A pluses. So that's a very good point, though.
But you got to hit the ball hard, right?
100,000%.
Yeah, yeah.
So what was your first job?
I worked at a trade magazine called The American Lawyer.
Okay.
I worked for. Yeah, I know.
That's cool. I love it.
I worked for
I'm just trying to, what year was that?
This was late 80s.
Late 80s.
Before you were born, Gary.
No, I wish. I wish. Some of these characters,
Yeah,
but
that's
not me,
right.
mister. I was already diehard Jets fan by then.
Me
where
too,
was that?
me too.
I know, that's why you're on the
Yeah,
show. I love
yeah.
that. Why,
We'll get
where,
to that.
Where was that? Where was that office?
Oh, it was on the east side near Grand Central.
Have you worked in have you lived your entire life in New York City?
I left New York when I went to college, but otherwise I've been in New York City the whole
I love that.
time.
I love
the whole
that.
time.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so you go into that job and it's a B2B magazine for the lawyer industry?
Yep.
Yep.
And you know, and I thought I'll be here. You know, I'll be here. Like if I'm here a year from now, like it's a mistake. You know, and I was there for 6 years.
Yeah.
And it was
What's
because
what D-Rock said, when he first got here, and now he's stuck.
yeah,
So
no,
I get it.
it's just that the opportunities were better than going to a bigger place.
Good for
that
you.
got to do more.
And so what happened next?
So
Early 90s, you decide to go where?
I went to a startup magazine called Smart Money, which
Oh,
was
yeah.
a Hearst magazine. It
course.
was a personal finance magazine.
So it was a startup culture, part of a big media holding company, so that seemed
Correct. It was-
safe and exciting.
It was a partnership between two media companies, Dow Jones and
Yep.
Hearst,
Yep.
and because of that, everybody left them alone.
Yep.
Like the
Yep.
the parents
Yep.
would fight and
Yep.
the kids could play by themselves.
That makes a ton
basically.
of sense, because
Right.
at the top, they couldn't get aligned, which meant things were just happening.
Yeah,
How
and we
long
could
were you
just do
there?
it things. I was there for 3 years.
And what position did you hold when you left?
I left. I was an articles editor, I think was my title when I
Okay.
left. Whatever that means.
Yep.
Means I edited articles.
Respect. Where'd you go next?
Fortune.
Yep.
Fortune, I became a senior editor to do their investing
How
and
long?
Wall Street coverage. I was there for a year.
Okay.
And then I became the editor of Money Magazine, which was a bracing experience to be 33 and suddenly giving personal financial advice to 2 million Americans, because I knew exactly what they should do with their finances. I knew how they should invest their money for their family and their future.
What year was that?
That was, that was 1998.
Okay, so how long were you there?
I was there for 6 years. 3 years of bull market, 3 years of bear market.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's great. Do you feel like that was a great thing for you to be able to live through in that environment during that importance of a publication, during such extremism in both directions?
I mean, I learned a lot about the markets and
Yep.
about the economy.
Yep.
During that time, Money Magazine was owned by Time Inc. and Time Warner went through the merger with AOL.
Yep.
And so I got to see how that happened from the inside.
Yep.
And that was a very acute learning experience
Yes.
also about how mergers can destroy certain things, how they open up certain things, and the way people just try to protect their own often
100%.
when things get bigger, they don't necessarily
100%.
get better.
100%. And then what happened?
And then I went from there. I spent a year at Time Magazine. I was an executive editor, which was a great experience. And then I went back to Fortune, and I was at Fortune for a few years before I went to Fast Company.
I love it.
So that's my life story. You got my whole story, Gary.
That is your career story.
That's true. It's barely touching
Put
on
in your
the
phone
life.
number on Facebook. We're going to start asking business questions. We're here with Bob. Fast Company. I like the word czar. I'm going to call you the czar.
Czar?
Because I'm Russian, you know.
Okay, all right.
Anyway, nonetheless, Fast Company, now you've been at
10 years. 10 years. Longer than I'd
real
ever
run.
be there. Yeah.
A real run.
Yeah.
And it's a really great brand publication. I absolutely, my business career took an interesting turn in 2005, I think, when I actually looked up from the liquor store and didn't live in a little cocoon. And I would tell you that Fast Company and Business 2.0 and magazine had a real impact on me. I read about other entrepreneurs and things, and I was like, whoa, there's other things going on. And, so much of my last decade. So many of my friends and acquaintances have been featured in the magazine on covers and things of that nature. And it's absolutely like I travel almost every week. There's never a time that I will travel and not go into Hudson News and look to see like the cover and what's going on and what you guys are covering.
I mean, I'll say like the pivotal moment when I look
get a
back
question
in my time at Fast
Yes.
Company was in 2008, early 2009, when the economy started to really go into the toilet, right? Was really
listening.
troubled.
Evan, it's Gary Vee on the Ask Gary Vee show. Hold on one second. Bob's making a very important point.
very important.
This may be the point of the show. You got it?
Oh my God! All right, yeah.
All right, thanks
Pay
for
attention.
waiting. I really
Pay attention,
appreciate
Evan.
it.
Go ahead, Bob.
So here's the thing. So the economy's going into the tank, right?
Right, Bear Stearns, all that stuff. Right.
And
I was pumped, by the way.
And the question was,
I'll explain why later.
Do we write about all the crap that's going on Wall Street? And we decided no. We just ignored it. And we said, no, we're going to write about the stuff that's going well, right? And we said, now why? Well, if we are going into the next Great Depression, it doesn't matter. We're all going out of business anyway, right?
That's right.
But why not double down on what we stand for, which is there is always exciting, powerful stuff going on right now. And this is why this Innovation Festival that we're doing next week here in New York, which I'll tell you about a little bit later, I got a special freebie code for the Vayner listeners.
Little right hook. I'm impressed, Bob. A little commerce love. I'm impressed. I like the sales DNA.
But optimism really is critical
Optimism
to be able.
is the greatest currency to trade on.
Yeah. So
First of all, it's a human innate. It's the reason we still exist. We're just enough more optimistic than we are cynical as animals, and it is literally why we're even still around. We could have been gone a long time ago.
You have to believe.
Evan, do you
otherwise
agree with
you don't
that?
get out of bed.
I do. I definitely do. Like optimism is, if you don't have that, you're over.
Respect. So, Evan, what's your question, brother?
Yeah. So I almost forgot it. Oh my God! All right, here we go. Basically my question was, how do we balance between saving up to go on the offense and spending? I know you talk a lot about spending to get those one or two things you need. But that's really where I'm at in life. I'm really trying to save everything I can, but it's like a careful balance between that and not going crazy because you're like, I can't even spend on like a new pair of glasses or something like that. So it's like, how do you find that balance between what you need to kind of fulfill yourself and then saving to fulfill your future, like business ambitions or whatever kind of investment you want to make, whatever it may be.
Bob, what he's referring to, you're going to get a lot of inside baseball references here now from my community, is like, I just don't think people should spend money on anything and save it and deploy it against their business and like win in the long term. I'm just obsessed with pushing as hard as I can against the short-term thinking that completely dominates entrepreneurship and society right now. And Evan, I think you're taking it a little bit further down the path, right? You're like, Gary, I got you. I'm not buying a Lamborghini, but am I allowed to buy a new shirt? I mean, is that where you're going?
Basically, I mean, and of course, I know it's like, I'm allowed to do that. It's just,
of course.
When does it stop, right? Like, because you could, split sheets as you always talk about, but it's like, at some point you got to kind of, say, okay, I have enough to where I could at least fulfill this lifestyle.
So, some of the hardest lessons in life are about discipline, right? Discipline and focus. You got like, what are the things that are really most important to you? Sometimes people say, oh, I have 10 ideas for a startup, right? Which one should I do? Right? Well, maybe you shouldn't do any of them, right? You got to find the one thing that's really most important to you. And with each of these decisions, you need to identify for your life, what is the discipline that's most important to you? That's what you invest your time in. That's what you invest your money in. And if you're not sure what that is, then you keep moving. Like, save it. Keep your powder dry for the shit that you really want to go for.
I mean, I got to tell you something, man. You said something interesting. You said, at what point do I get to spend to fulfill this lifestyle? My lifestyle is not the stuff that I get to buy being an entrepreneur. My lifestyle is the eating the shit.
Yeah, that's what's most satisfying, right?
Do you understand?
Love it.
I mean, that's a super important thing, man. You said it subtly. You said, at what point do I get to cash in or cash out to fulfill the promise of the lifestyle? This is the
maybe wanting to cash out is the problem.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And I really am pumped you got to say it instead of people in the comments section saying it. My man, if you understand that part, the whole thing changes. My ambition to buy anything, and let's call it what it is, including the New York Jets, is zero. My chase of the New York Jets by eating the shit 18 hours a day is the lifestyle. And we have 95% of the market believing that the lifestyle is you do something to get the fun stuff, and it's the 5% that understand the process is the fun stuff that get to buy the 95% of stuff. Got it?
Dude, that's so trippy but so true. Thank you so much.
You got it, brother. That was a super important. I mean, right off the bat. I mean, this is already maybe the best show of all time, Bob.
The best
thank
show of
you
all time.
for-
All right,
No,
let's
but-
drop the
but-
mic.
But I'll be
Yeah.
very honest with you, and it probably comes up a lot in my content, but like that was just synthesized to this whole game, and it was very subtle the way he said it. And I was
Yeah.
pumped. I got to hear it and wasn't distracted. The promise isn't you work hard, you work hard. That's where everybody's getting caught. Why do you think everybody's in trouble right now with college debt? There's this thought that you, and then yay. The whole thing has to be yay, whether it results in dollars that are up here. Unless you're in that yay the whole way, you're finished. If you're finished.
Like we talk about like being happy, right? Happy is one thing. What's more important is being satisfied.
100%.
Right? And satisfaction comes from going after shit that's hard, right? And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but it's fulfilling, right?
100%.
The fulfillment comes. And that's when people like they want just the happy, like just the party. When you're a kid, you can just, like birthday cake is enough. Ice cream is enough. Your life is good enough, right? You become an adult, you're like, you can have ice cream anytime. What do you really want?
The
What do
problem
you
is,
really
brother,
want?
honestly, Bob, I got to tell you though, I think a lot of people graduate from ice cream to a vacation home.
Yeah.
I think people are caught in the game. I think people are
think
confused,
you're right.
man. Like to me, the process of making that cake is interesting. The thought of like, can I buy the eggs for a good deal? Can I create a flavor of carrot cake mixed with mint chocolate chip that nobody's ever done before? Can I be remembered for making great cake?
It's the irony is like the less you worry about the end of the journey. In other words, the less you worry about the money you're going to have for that
100%.
house, the more likely you're going to be successful enough to be able to have that house.
Or what you get, or
What you
if
get back
if you
is
wo-
satisfying enough that you don't need the house.
That's for damn sure. Or if your outcome, for me, and you've got a sense of me in the business world, right? I'm not irreverent or disruptive for kicks and giggles. I know that I'm going to be historically correct, and I'm trying to trade on legacy.
But you're also not afraid to be wrong, right?
That is damn right.
You're not afraid to be wrong.
I'm
You're not afraid to.
And I also will own it if I'm wrong.
Right.
I love Yo Bongo. I love passing on Uber twice. I love not spending enough on Google AdWords. Wine Library should have been 250 million, not 60. I get it. But like, I love being wrong because I love the game. And if I was wrong, that means the game is pure.
And you learn from it, right? And you learn from it.
ton.
And this is just what life
Wait
is like.
till you
We're all wrong
Bob,
all the time.
This is going to be $1 billion business. And it's going to be a side project compared to what I'm up to next. I'm learning at such a speed. And I have all the intuitive understanding of the consumer. Of course, that's the best part.
Right.
And I didn't need it in my 20s so I could buy a yacht to get girls. I'm not that insecure. And insecurity is what's hurting so many.
Well, it depends what you want. If all
Yes.
you want is the yacht and the girls,
you can do that.
you can do
And
that.
you know what,
That's
by the way,
that's a different
as a
life.
dude, it sounds fun.
You know,
Jake wants it bad. Jake,
Not really.
Jake.
I wouldn't mind it.
Let's go to the next question. That was amazing. Ben. So good. So good, Jake. Seth definitely wants it. I don't even have to ask him. Oh, we lost him. Can you do it again? All right, while he's pulling it up, who's on the cover this month?
who's on the cover this month?
you
Right
remember?
now, I have two people on the cover: Kevin Durant and Stella McCartney.
I like that.
It's our tech and culture issue,
I get
so
it.
we're trying to
I get
cross
it.
over different things.
I think you guys do a good job with that. I think you guys are thoughtful about your covers. We had a great conversation about covers at Cannes. The cover thing is super interesting.
It's
to me.
hard. It's hard. It's the
Super hard.
hardest
I'm
thing.
very empathetic. Who's this?
Ben from Rhode Island.
Ben. And who's next month? Do we announce that yet?
No, we don't announce
give you
that
$1.
yet. Yeah.
Not enough? Do you have it picked?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's D-Rock,
this is
right? Ben, this is Gary Vaynerchuk. You're on the Ask Gary V show.
Gary V, what's going on?
Life is good. Say hello to Bob.
Hey, man.
Hey, Bob, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing? How's Rhode Island?
It's good. You know, it's funny. I'm actually laying in the dentist chair office right now, so
This is a great pick me up here.
I mean, this is huge, brother. I'm
Wow.
pumped. Did they give you the Novocaine yet?
Are we the anesthesia? What is this?
It's just kicking in right now. So.
Respect. What can we answer for you, man?
Hey, so quick question for you. So I am a digital marketing coordinator for a chemical distribution company. Super interesting industry because it's very slow, right? So
Yes.
quote unquote old school tactics like email, like Google AdWords, Google marketing, that's still our key, where we're getting
Stop right
traffic
there.
from.
Stop right there. This is the proudest moment in Ask Gary V history because somebody in my in my audience, just said we do old school tactics like Google AdWords and email and things of that nature. That's how I see the world. Clearly,
Yep.
you see the world that way as well, whether influenced by me or not. And this means the world to me because this is the biggest thing that I'm trying to push for as a marketer in the current state, which is we have something called traditional digital that we need to accept because we can't move forward until we recognize that. So it's a great job, Ben. I appreciate you framing that up. Keep going.
Yeah, so I know that works today and that's working today and that's fine. And it's going to be, years and years until, stuff that's working for companies like Nike and Under Armour are going to, convert. So how do I work day to day and month to month to kind of position us and prepare us for what's inevitably coming? Because that's where everything's going to go, even if we're 5, 10, 15 years behind them.
Number one, it's already happened. There's B2B unbelievable activity that you can do in social and media creative across LinkedIn and Facebook for your business today. So first you have to make the mental commitment that it's already here and not coming. And then you have to allocate the right amount of dollars for you to learn and understand. So if that's 0 right now, can you get it to 17% of your behavior? The good news is you're looking at digital as traditional. So you're not stuck where most people are, which is they spend 70% of their money in traditional, 30% in digital, but that 30% of digital is 90% digital traditional.
Right.
So you're ahead of the game, brother. You just have to allocate the dollars to content and distribution on Facebook and LinkedIn right now.
Got it.
Got it? Is
And we're
that
doing that
feasible?
Yeah, and since my higher ups are very open to that and open to my ideas, so it's a great environment, and we're doing that and just preparing ourselves for what's inevitably to come and is really already here.
I understand.
You
Bob,
just got
anything?
you got to meet people where they are, right? So whatever your customer base that you're trying to, right, depends what your specific customer base that you're trying to target is, but everybody's on these channels. Like, it's not like it's just a small group, right? Everybody's there. So you got to be there.
What you need to do is you need to context the thought process of the person when they're on there. Like the individual you're trying to reach in a B2B environment, when she or he is on Facebook, is in a different mental state than when she and he are on LinkedIn, or she or he is reading Fast Company, or he is watching, Schitt's Creek on Netflix. Like you have to be smart about when you create content or advertising, that you understand the context of the psychology of the user. Too many B2B companies are failing on Facebook because they're not accepting the fact that they're in a more social environment there, and the creative doesn't have that in it. So it's not native to the platform and or the psychology graph of the user, and that is where the magic sits.
Right, and they say it doesn't work, but it doesn't work because they're not presenting the right kind of content. Like the platform can work. It's just the message is not right for that platform.
Got it?
Got it entirely.
Awesome, man. Good luck with the drilling. All right.
Is this a standard thing? People call from their dentist chairs for you?
That's a first, too. This
Yeah.
is a show of first. I'm excited. Bob, what do you give me something in culture of the business culture world right now that has you fascinated, or what's a seed of like, hey, wait a minute, Gary, have you seen what's going on with these barns selling for 10x the multiple in Minnesota?
Tiny houses? Is that what you're talking about? Tiny
what's
houses?
happening? What's happening? What's in the zeitgeist right now, in the business zeitgeist, that has your attention?
I mean, I think the struggle that a lot of businesses are having is trying to connect through this particular political landscape that we're in, right?
Yes.
All right, so
What
let's
do I
go
do
to the
as-
Jets.
Right.
Do you kneel? If Vayner was having an
Yes.
event and all of you guys were there, and it
Yes.
started with the national anthem,
Yes. I have
would
no
you
problem
kneel?
with- I have no problem
Would
with
you
any-
lock hands, or would you stand backstage and not go out of the
I'm giving
tunnel?
you the answer. I would tell all 750 employees to do whatever the hell they want, because I was born in a communist country and I have no interest in imposing my will on them.
And whatever they want is fine.
And I love them and respect them both in any argument. If they told me that is the biggest disgrace of all time and they're devastated that it's a disgrace, or if they said this is the platform
But
that
for
I need.
your Vayner brand,
Yes, I could
does
give a
Vayner
fuck.
stand for any of those three choices or none of them?
Of course not. We're a makeup of the people. And that's
Right.
what people try to do. They try to politicize businesses into a thing.
So this is one of the things I'm thinking about. So if you are an advertiser and you're trying to think about, you're going to advertise in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Right? What is my message? Am I playing off, like last year,
know what
right?
I would do?
Airbnb,
Yeah.
some others really did well by playing off.
Yeah.
Do you play off this environment or is that too scary?
I think it's too scary.
Right?
If you're a big business, it's too scary because we're so polarized right now that you're going to lose half the audience one way or the other.
So instead of like last year,
I would do what you
Bud
did.
did immigration.
Yeah.
This year they're going back to the Clydesdales. Is that what you're saying?
I would say the following.
Yeah.
I would do what Fast Company did exactly right in 2008.
You stick with what you are. You got to know what you are
You got
to
to
do
know
that.
what you're. Listen, so many people would hate that I would allow my employees options, whether they were VaynerMedia or the New York Jets. They just weren't born in the communist country like I was. Their grandparents didn't spend 10 years in jail for being Jewish like I did. They have their experience, and I am unbelievably empathetic. But I'm going to do me, always to the end. Mm-hmm. What do we got?
Daniel from Canada.
Daniel from Canada.
Canada.
This show is really clicking on every cylinder. This is unbelievable. I'm very impressed. This makes me
We're
happy.
going to talk Canadian football now.
We may. CFL. Calgary Stampede. Daniel? Daniel. Hey, Alexa.
Hello?
Daniel, this is Gary Vee, and you're in the Ask Gary Vee show with Bob from Fast Company.
Wow. Hi, guys.
I love it. We're doing well, brother. What's your question?
Yes, well, let me just take it over here and ask it on the chat. My question was to Bob. Wanted to ask you what do you use for your Facebook advertising, and is there any new up and coming digital marketplace where you think that you'd want to advertise now? Like I know a new kind of social media interface, something that's really like Twitter died. Now we have Facebook, but what's next? Is there something that's already here? Is up and coming? Like, what do you guys think?
Go
All
ahead,
right.
Bob.
So let me be clear. So I'm an editor, so I'm not buying any media at all, right? I'm creating content and I'm earning all of the media that I'm getting. And the truth is that with Facebook right now, part of what I'm looking at is the way news moves on Facebook and how you maintain and generate trust for your content in an environment where people are increasingly questioning what the source is of certain kinds of information that moves along through social. And what are the things that we have to do to make Fast Company continue to be something that people trust? And I don't always know what the answer is to that because that's moving really fast, particularly as we move into newer areas and newer places where we're gonna put our content too.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Twitter is not dead. Twitter is, and Facebook is not it. It's about underpriced and overpriced attention for me. I don't think print. He's in print. Do I believe in, and I don't know his rates or the market's rates right now. Do I believe on what I've seen the last couple times I've looked that rates on print are overpriced for the today's day of consumer? I do. Do I think banner ads and pre-rolls on the consumer are overpriced by what's happening today? I do. Do I think that influencers on Instagram are underpriced? I do. Do I think when they make long form video, if a brand integrates, it could be underpriced? I do. I think there's inefficiencies and opportunities in everything. I've always felt Twitter was an overpriced ad marketplace. The platform's not dead. An overpriced ad platform. Snapchat, an overpriced stock because they still haven't reached the potential and they may never, but as an ad product, underpriced. So my friend, I think what you need to think about and what we all need to think about based on whatever we're trying to achieve, whether that's to be voted for on mayor, raise money for the PTA, sell sneakers, sell subscriptions, sell wine, is what's overpriced and underpriced. Nothing's dead. There's still, I'm looking at billboards right now outside. There's magazines, there's television, there's everything still out there. Nothing's dead. Smoke signals, I would say, are dead. Most people carving pictures in a cave, I would go with dead right now. These are two things that we don't use to communicate something we want to happen. Print, radio, television, all the social networks. I'll throw a real curveball at you. I still think there's ways to do communication on MySpace. Like there's still I mean, now is it overpriced? Is it underpriced? I don't know, but I think I want to make sure that what you think about and what all my listeners think about is overpriced and underpriced, not dead or alive.
Yeah, and you have
basically it's about the content.
What's that, my friend?
So it's basically like about the content, what you put in your content and how you can.
No, that's the next part that matters even more matters the same. No, it's if you're going to buy ads, when they put it in front of people, was that a good price or bad price for the attention you were trying to get in return? The next part is when you buy it properly. The reason so many people aren't doing well on Facebook and Instagram is not because of the ad costs, because they are underpriced. It's because they don't know what pictures, videos, and written words to put in front of people.
Right. Perfect.
Cool.
That gives me a lot to think about. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're welcome. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so that was an awesome zeitgeist thought. What about on a more niche? That's very macro. What company or companies or entrepreneurs?
For me personally, I always try to think big first.
Respect.
I'm looking for the big trends,
Yes.
and then I'm trying to find, okay, once I found that trend, who's the best person, who's the best character, who's
Understood.
the best company
Yes.
to tell
Respect.
that through,
Okay.
right? You know, I mean, AI, right?
Yep.
Is AI a big deal? Duh. Yeah, okay. Do we know how AI is going to develop? No one has a clue, right?
Well, I think-
what the implications
hold on,
are
hold
and
on,
how it's going to
hold on.
unroll over the long run. We're so early.
So look, let's
The
talk about
days
it.
are early.
But I think we can all intuitively understand that a lot of tasks that are done, right, are going to, through machine learning and AI, like there's a lot of things that have pressure on the system right now in a 20-year macro that we can start understanding, right?
I think we can see some of the shapes of them. I don't think we can predict exactly how they're gonna roll out.
I can predict it right now. The robots
All right.
kill us in the end.
You think the robots kill us? Well,
do.
that's the Hollywood version of the story. That's always the Hollywood version of the story. The robots always kill
no.
us.
The Hollywood version is one miraculous person
that's true.
defeats
Saves
all
the
the
day.
robots.
Saves
I'm going to
the
go the
day.
other way. The robots win, and
there's-
hopefully they're watching this content right now. Robots, love you. You like that? I want to be I want to be a mythical character to the robots. There was once a human being named Gary. I'm positioning for the long term. Who's next?
Peter from Hawaii.
Jeez, you're really mixing it up. There's robots in Hawaii.
Oh, this is not one of them.
What about cryptocurrency? Have you guys been covering it?
A little bit.
I'm still manifesting myself too.
I'm not sure what.
Peter?
Hello.
Peter, this is Gary Vaynerchuk, and you're on the Ask Gary V show.
No fucking way! Oh
Ye-
my god!
Yes,
I'm
Peter.
on.
You are on. You made it. You did it. Say hello to Bob.
Hey Bob, how's it going, Bob?
Oh, we're so excited you're with us, man. How's the weather there?
Yeah, man. My students don't believe this shit. Yeah.
It's real, brother. What's your question?
My question is, for many years, I've been reading Fast Company, and I use it in class as well for the articles. I'm really, I wanted to know, how are you guys able to stay relevant as a magazine to begin with, and you're online and you're doing some great stuff?
Some of these things are things that sort of build on themselves over time. We get a lot of deal flow. What VCs call deal flow. We got a lot of people coming through who we get to meet, we get to talk to, like Gary gets to do, right? And what happens is it's, you meet someone, you say, well, that was pretty cool, that was pretty cool, that was pretty cool. And then every now and then you say, holy shit.
That's amazing.
Right? And those are the stories you do, but we do have a philosophy that overruns on top of everything we do. We're trying to get our readers to see that the world is going to be much different than they expect it to be, right? And so we're keep trying to find ways to get you just a little bit more comfortable with the idea that the world you were prepared for and you were trained for in school is not the world that you're going to be living in later. And that's the overarching message that we're trying to repeatedly remind you guys of.
Peter, how do you consume Fast Company? In digital or in print or both? How do you roll?
I consume it digital, absolutely all digital. It's I go to the computer lab, I look up some stuff. Before class starts, I see an article I like, I copy and paste it, I share it with everybody, and then I have them make comments if they can on Fast Company.
I love it, man.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for listening.
Gary, I got a story, man. You're not going to believe this, but I got to say this was maybe 4 years ago.
Okay.
You had some kind of special on Facebook. It said, hit me up, and I'll recommend whatever wine, whatever it was.
Okay.
And I happened to be on Facebook. I said something. I said I wanted a wine that's under $10. And this was before New Year's. And it said free shipping. And I put something on there, and you said, okay, go ahead. You can do this. This Portugal wine. And I still got the wine.
That's
and
amazing.
They came back, and they said, oh, no free shipping to Hawaii. And I emailed you back. I said, don't worry about it, man. It's okay. I understand. Nobody really does free ship to Hawaii. And you made it happen. You emailed me back. You made it happen. And you said, Pete, I'll take care of this. And it was New Year's Eve. I got the bottles in.
I love it, man. Thank you. Thanks for sharing
Amazing.
See,
Thank
Gary,
you,
man. Amazing.
I
Thank
love
you,
that
man.
story though, Gary,
Thank
because
you.
it is about like as much as you think about the big picture, you always you can't lose sight of the details, right?
I never want to be in the middle, brother. I am super up here, and I will never forget this.
Yeah.
And they're the only two things that matter. And I genuinely believe that 99% of people play in the middle. And I appreciate that. I'm super pumped to share that story. It makes me feel good. But more importantly, when you're peacocking as much as I am, it's important for people to know that I do so much. I mean, I know these people in this room. They all know me. And it's such a better feeling because I know what they're saying. Especially, the last year's been pretty crazy for me. Like, my profile has grown quite a bit. And so, to me, I don't care how many people follow me or how big that gets. I care about the people that actually know me, what they're saying behind my back. Mm. And that, to me, dictates my actions. The end. The guy who, I park next to at a Jets parking lot, the person that's going to serve me dinner tonight at a restaurant, my doorman, people that work here a month, people that work here for 15 years, every interaction, every moment, always. I think about it every time.
It's funny because I think sometimes people might look at you and say, Gary doesn't care what anybody thinks.
I don't.
But you're saying you do care about what these people who you don't know think.
Correct.
Anybody else confused? Yeah.
I think it's super important, Jake. Let me help you understand this.
Sorry.
It's here's how I think. I think macro patience, micro speed, right? The way I build my companies, macro patience. In a macro, I'm very patient. I have so much opportunity. 7-8 years ago, at the height of my Silicon Valley fame, instead of raising $250 million and doing a fund and carrying 2% fees and making lots of money and I said, you know what? I've got a talent now that I've met Zucks and Travis and Saka and Kushner and all these interesting Cuban and people outside of tech, the way you guys cover it, like all these people, Jack Welch. I'm like, I have a talent. I understand marketing innately in a very different way than I think anybody I've met. These 3G guys are going around and buying Budweiser and Kraft, and they're cutting costs. Wall Street really rewards short-term financial stuff. I'm a long-term. If I build a machine that is the scalable version of my talent, then I can trade on that skill and that infrastructure for the rest of my life. So let me take a step back for 10 years and eat crow and do client service and this and that. And so macro, I'm really patient. On a micro, my every minute is booked for 18 hours a day and I'm fast.
Does he seem patient to you guys? Yeah. Yes, no? It's like the heads are like Bob and yes and no, right?
And macro.
Yeah.
And that's how I am about not caring about what anybody thinks and caring what everybody thinks.
Yeah.
At a macro, it's like I really don't because I can't control it and I'm empathetic.
So I think this is what the most successful people in business parallel this way, right? I was having this discussion with a friend of mine at Nike about their CEO, Mark Parker, who I think is a genius in a lot of ways, right? But here's a guy who, on the one hand, he's so patient in running this super big company, but he'll go out and take photographs of flowers and spend time designing shoes. He used to be a shoe designer, and he loves designing. You know, he'll go from like investor meetings, and then he'll go into their design lab and talk to their, you know, their innovation lab and talk about how, like, and that is what, and all of that jumping
You know
back
what I
and
call
forth.
that? Practitionership. The fact that I reply to my tweets and I by hand post my Instagram posts and reply, and I heart your replies, and if you lose your practitionership, you become vulnerable. When you stop playing, you're in trouble.
Well, you also have to think about for each of us, what are we really good at?
100%.
Right? Because sometimes, you know, you start to move up and you move away from the stuff that you're not that you're good at, and not just that you're good at, you're usually good at it because it brings you joy. Like it satisfies
100%.
you, right?
To me, I got
and you
lucky,
get disconnected.
right? When you move up, you manage people. For me, my joy is people. So it allowed me to be a good operator. Because you have to deal with the shit. I mean, our days are about fires and issues.
Right. Well, this is one of the things is about, if you think about it, if for folks listening, right, if you work for someone and you say, okay, like once a month, I need to talk to my boss about something really important. Maybe once every other month, right? But for your boss, they're getting like 10 of those things every day. And so the most important thing for you is for them like just their regular day. So how do you, if you know that as a manager, how do you manage those people who are coming to you and not say like, oh, geez, yeah, it's just another problem that they have?
By recognizing as a manager and a boss that you work for them, not the other way around.
That those things are really important, that you can't start to take them
empathy,
for...
empathy, 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 empathy. Empathy is the secret drug of success.
And you have to feel it, you know?
Yeah, you have to have it. It's like being
So what do you say to people who don't have it?
They're in deep shit.
If you don't...
They're in deep
How do
fucking
you
shit.
learn to be
I
more
don't know.
empathetic?
But I can tell you that I'm sure being around empathetic people, I'll tell you that Vayner has a great ambition to suffocate it, so make it a real thing so people can learn from it. I think, look at everybody here, they've all had different strives in it, depending on...
But that's part of the honey, right? That you're
The
trying.
honey empire.
That's
Yeah.
That's
I
what
mean,
you're-
people look. It's people.
So let me ask you. Let me ask you a tough question. So
Go
let's
ahead.
say there's someone who works here at Vayner who is killing it. They are
Fired.
bringing
Fired.
You know where I'm going, right?
Of course, because I'm the biggest revenue driver by such a disproportionate part that I would never put myself in a position that I'm at the mercy of somebody else.
So if someone's bringing in money but they're not good for the culture,
I don't
they're
need
gone.
the money.
Right.
I don't need the money. I never put myself in a short-term financial situation. The end.
Yeah.
That's it. Last question.
Lenthius from Georgia.
Lenthea?
Lenthius.
Lenthius. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have the luxury of not being on 90-day terms, not
Yeah,
having
you
an
leave
actual
yourself
boss.
that. You leave yourself
I don't
that
have
leeway.
I don't have
right?
a boss.
Just Lenthius.
Lenthius, it's Gary Vaynerchuk here on the Ask Gary V show.
Hey, Gary. I was calling to ask you guys a question in regards to a small startup magazine. How does one survive in today's market when there's so many others out there trying to do the same thing? How does a small startup differentiate himself?
That is a great
Before
question.
you go there, I want to follow up on one thing. Great job, son. Lenthius, do you have a small startup magazine?
I do.
What's it called?
It's called Urban Lux Magazine.
Good for you, man.
We specialize in profiling people in the community that are doing great things, because luxury is about what you make it, not necessarily all of the things that society says luxury is.
And is it print and digital or just digital?
We did print for 3 years, and it became so very expensive, we started doing strict digital about a year ago.
Congrats, man. That's awesome. Good for you. Bob?
All right, so when people come to me, young people come to me at Fast Company and want to get into the business of doing magazines, whether they're print or digital, I always try to talk them out of it, because it is a really hard business and it's a terrible business. Like in terms of sort of where the financial leverage is relative to other things you can spend your time on, you can make more money, in more straightforward and easier ways, doing lots of things with the skills that you have than creating content for a magazine like the way you're doing it and I'm doing it. You do it because you really love it, because you can't help not doing it, right? If you're doing it because you're like, oh, this is the way I'm going to be successful and I'm going to make a lot of money, you know, good luck. You know, like
I think I'm going to do print soon, but I want it to be. But I want it to be like $100 an issue.
But it's not going to be the core part of
Like
your
that,
business, right? It's going to support another
That's right.
brand.
It's 100% a brand play
That's
for the
right.
overarching.
And
brand.
listen, in the long run, you know, I should be careful what I say, right? But I love the
Be
print.
not careful.
I love the print magazine. In the long run, is the print magazine going to be like the financial driver of our business? If it is, I'm in bad shape, right?
It can't be.
But is it
It matters.
the, you know,
I
it's
wanna
the
be-
branding vehicle.
I want to be on the cover of Fast Company.
Great.
No, but you know what?
Yeah.
I'm not actually saying that, though I am. I'm saying that it still is leverage. If you were a digital only play, right, you would not have that same leverage with me. So it's still leverage.
You know, the scarcity of the product you're producing, Lenthius, is its value.
Lenthius, I want to be
It's
on the
its
cover of
value.
your magazine.
Right.
You need to bring it back out of retirement for one issue so I can be on the cover.
I can put you on the cover of
Nope.
our 2018 cover.
No. What was that? Is that an actual magazine?
It's an actual magazine. It's
Okay.
Herbalux Magazine.
Love it.
Our next issue will come out in 2018 in January. I would love for you to be on the cover.
Respect. Send me an email. I'm interested. But Rebecca's here, my comms team. I told her, I'm like, look, I only want to be on covers of magazines. I do not want to be inside of them. And if I'm not good enough to get to the level where it hits your radar or your competitive publications, then I'll keep working until that's the case. But it is a leverage point. Whereas for .com, it doesn't have that. There's no big feature story that I'm chasing as much as a cover. So it's still cultural.
Well, and I'm doing two things at the same time because I'm trying to
Thank you, brother.
create versions of something that you would want to be on that would stand out on the digital front in the same way that a print cover stands out. But we're not all the way there
I think
yet.
that
it's a
and your
project.
I think what people have to do is much deeper documentary-like long-form videos on these platforms. I'm a big buyer of this. I think if you guys had an accompanied 17-minute video that felt like a documentary that I'd watch on HBO or Netflix, then I'd be like, shit, I want that. Like 17 minutes, a mini doc, that to me is the white space in publishing right now for print producers with a digital complement.
I mean, it's all about prestige
100%.
and what is going to generate that prestige.
That's it. You got it. Last points. Anything you want to share that we didn't get to?
Gary, I just have to say your energy always fucking amazes me.
Thank you, brother.
It does. It
I
does.
appreciate-
It
Listen,
does.
it's
great.
gratitude. Like, how good do we have it?
It's
That's
true.
optimism.
It's true.
It's optimism.
It's true.
What about the event?
Oh, yeah. So the event next week, October 23rd to 27th. You're like, my people are like, come on, say the fucking event. Yeah.
No. This. You know what? That was a perfect. I actually was super pumped. What an incredible indication to that you're always editorial and you were gracious instead of throwing the right hook. Right? You default into not this is the moment to take something that's selfish. I'm going to be an editor, a journalist. I'm going to be selfless. Now you paid a compliment. I appreciate it, but. To me, I actually think it's a super interesting psychology experiment, and it reminds me of why I even would want you on this show. Right. But anyway, tell them about the event because you guys do put on a great event.
Well, and I hope it is good for everyone who will attend. It's next week in New York City for those of you in New
What
York.
are the dates again?
23rd to the 27th.
Yep. Where is it?
It's all around the city. There are 200
see.
different sessions at 150 different places around the city.
And
I think
do you buy a ticket?
Claude is going to be one.
Is
doing
Claude
one
doing
of them,
some
right?
chief officer? Love
Yeah,
it.
it's doing one of them.
And do you buy a ticket that lets you get to go all of them, or you guys
So
break it up? How do you do it?
You can buy a ticket to the whole thing. Costs a lot of money.
How much?
You can $1,200.
Well, good. Jake's got
So
a ton of money.
Jake's
Jake,
all
you're in.
set.
Two tickets for Jake.
You can get a day pass for one of the single days. I think you can use the code AskGaryV,
You guys
and
set
you
it
can
up?
get a day pass for I think $100. So
Okay.
you can
We'll link
you
it
can go
all
all
up.
the things.
We'll link it
and
all
then
up.
they're individual sessions. So you want to talk to Derek Jeter about what it's like to run a team.
I do, personally.
He's going to be at the 92nd Street. Why you're not here though? See, that's
No,
why I
I'm
can't.
in Singapore.
I know. If only you were there, I'd have you and he on the stage together. We'll get that together though. We'll work that
I'm gonna
out.
text him right now and tell
But
him
if
I'm really
you
sad.
want to
That
hear
was
from
that's what's called a humble brag.
a humble brag, you want to talk to Derek about why he
If they go to fastcompany.com, I assume
Yeah.
it's super easy to find.
Go to
links the-
events.fastcompany.com.
But if you
and
go
you'll
to
get
Fast, nobody wants to remember that part.
Yeah,
if you go
just
to
go to Fast-
fastcompany.com,
Oh, yeah,
I
you'll
got
be
a
there.
scene in your UI UX. It's easy to find.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it's there.
Question of the day. Every guest that comes on the Ask Gary Vee show gets to ask the audience a question of the day. This is an amazing opportunity for you to do some research and development, get some information from the zeitgeist. What is your question of the day? You can ask what's your favorite color. I don't give a crap. It's your platform. Go.
What makes news credible for you?
You're really on this, huh?
I am.
It's big.
I am. I think it's the biggest question. What makes it credible? What makes you believe?
Thanks for being on, brother.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys. Take care. Have a great day. You keep asking questions. We'll keep answering them.